This message pertains to Aybars Uckun, who used to be my little brother. As I've said in a video about my older brother, Timothy, Aybars participated in a form of fraud. When my father died, well, he had had a stroke, and so my older brother, Timothy, and his wife, Sarah, were basically administering my mom and dad's money, and they were filtering the email. When my father died, because of the way my phone was set up, I could not talk to my mom, who was in Turkey, but I could send emails, and I never got a reply from her after Dad died, and I believe that my emails are being intercepted and filtered. Then, immediately after Dad died, they wanted me to sign a power of attorney. They sent me a PDF and said, we want you to sign this, meet up with your little brother, go to New York City, the Turkish consulate, and sign this power of attorney, signing away your inheritance. And I'm like, why would I do that? I don't even know what my inheritance is. Send me a notarized copy of the will, and send me a notarized English translation of that will. And they refused. So, and I wasn't allowed to talk to my mom. And my little brother, Aybars Uckun, remember that name, his Messianic church, they had some kind of guy posing as a lawyer, but he actually wasn't a lawyer, never passed his bar exam, saying that I had to talk to him. I could not go talk directly to my mother at that point. I was not allowed to. So, there was a fraud being committed. I was disinherited without my consent. And because I never got my inheritance or anything resembling that, I'm pretty sure they forged my signature on some type of consent. So Aybars Uckun, along with Timothy Uckun, Sarah Uckun, and I believe Aybars' wife may be involved with this too as well, Kelley Uckun, I believe that they have probably committed fraud. I know Aybars and Timothy definitely committed fraud, and I'd be willing to, stand in front of a judge and jury and say that, based on the information I have. And so this message is to anyone associated with Aybars and Kelley, because they're a family. They're a unit. They have joint finances. They do things together. I would be very careful about hiring this person. I would be very careful about trusting this person. Aybars is an assistant rabbi at a Messianic church. It's funny, they call themselves Jews, like he's a rabbi, but they worship Jesus as the Messiah, which is not Judaism. It's Christianity. So they're it's like a new agey made up religion where they sort of pretend to be part of this and part of that. And, they got a really funny setup. They get 10% of your income right off the bat. And then on top of that, they make a voluntary 10%. So they can get 20% of your income just to be part of this religion. And now he may not be completely in control of his faculties, because I know this. When you join, what they do is you go to these meetings that start somewhere around midnight. You go there, you have a big dinner, so you're all fat, dumb, and happy, and then the meeting starts at midnight, and then you're studying and praying and chanting, basically till the sun comes up. And he would go back to work the next day and do this for months. He walked around like a zombie. He walked around like this. And, that's how they get you in there. It's a form of mind control. Zombie brainwashing. Then on top of that, there were points when he would, anytime you express any doubt about it, or your attendance drops off, they go to your house, they track you, they tell you you need to go to the church, and if you express any doubt about the religion, they send you to a doctor approved by them, and they put you on different drugs. So he was walking around in a somnamblistic state for 6 months, and then he was drugged out at various points for years. And he's now an assistant rabbi at Restoration Synagogue. It's not a real synagogue, in Seattle, Washington. And his wife Kelley works at Seattle Children's Hospital. So if you're a member of that synagogue, all I can say is, well, it's against the 10 Commandments to steal. It's against the mitzvot of the Old Testament in Judaism to disinherit your brother, to break up your family. So he's trying to teach you about family values, and look at his family values. He breaks up his family. He forbids his own brother from talking to his own mother for money. What kind of a person does that? Think about that for a moment, folks. And Kelley, I mean, that's the man you're with. I'm assuming if you're with someone who's willing to commit fraud and destroy his family and steal, then I'm assuming that you are that person. And if you are not that person, honestly, you should enjoin him to do the right thing. And if he doesn't have the bulk of the responsibility for what happened, well, he should do the right thing and put pressure on those that did. But I believe that Aybars is just as culpable as Tim Uckun, and you are just as culpable as Sarah. And you've committed fraud, you've committed theft. I would recommend to the public that you not be trusted. I would recommend to the public that they really think about the character of Aybars and Kelley and Tim Uckun and Sarah, and what kind of people they are, to actually just if you're a religious person, whether you practice Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, you respect a person's religious tradition in terms of their will. Even in Saudi Arabia, who is regarded as being a very backward conservative country, right? Even in Saudi Arabia, if a Christian dies in Saudi Arabia and leaves a will, all right, and their family is living in Saudi Arabia, the religious police, the judges, they honor that will, even though it's not their religion. Even all these different empires, whether they were Christian, Judaic, I don't know too much about the Jewish empires. They weren't very long lasted, but I know the Christian and Muslim empires, the Hindu empires, the Buddhist empires, they respected people's religions, traditions enough that they would not touch someone's inheritance. So it is a sin. It is a horrible, horrible sin that you're committing, Aybars, and you're walking around saying that you're a holy man, a rabbi, a guide, a teacher, and you are not. You are willfully committing a horrific sin, and the God you believe in will punish you eternally. If you believe you even have an eternal soul, because again, from what I can tell, you guys just make up your own religious traditions and put it together and pretend to be part of other traditions to gain acceptability. So if you're part of the congregation, or if you're working with this family, if you're a co-worker, an employee, or a boss, really question their character, because if they committed fraud on their own family, broke up their own family, what would they do to you and your family? That's all I can say.